Simplified Speech Episode 159, Kassy's New Hobbies. Let's get started our main topic of conversation. So, our topic is your new hobbies. And, I'm getting older, Kassy, and my memory isn't as good as it used to be. But if I recall correctly, it wasn't too long ago that we actually had a conversation about some new hobbies that you had, like making kombucha. But I guess when you moved to Thailand and you started this new life in Bangkok, maybe that was one of the hobbies that you kind of had to put aside as you moved. Am I correct with that assumption? Yeah, it was so sad actually. A lot of people make kombucha here too, but I didn't have any of my jars or my SCOBY, and it just felt too irritating to start it again. Yeah, I can imagine that those kinds of things are items that you don't want to really bring with you on an international move. So that makes sense that you would put that aside for a moment. But in the absence of that hobby, what have you started doing? Could you share with us some of the new hobbies that you've picked up? Sure. So, because of COVID craziness for the past several years, I haven't been super active. I think it's because I totally agree with the mask wearing, but it was hard for me to sweat with the mask on. So I didn't really like exercise the last few years. I totally get where you're coming from. Throughout the pandemic, I still ran, like that's my hobby, that's my exercise is running. But it was really uncomfortable to run with a mask on. And thankfully now, we don't have to wear masks outside in Korea anymore. So I can run mask free. And it's much, much better. I think, but yeah, I totally get why you would put exercise. Yeah, I totally get why you would put exercise on pause for a little while, but you've started again. You're active now. Yeah, exactly. That's where most of my new hobbies come from. I joined this really cool multi-sports complex. It has, as you might know from the name, a multitude of sports. It's got tennis, swimming, badminton, squash, racquetball, a climbing gym, weights. It's got everything. Wow, sounds amazing. So, have you been trying all of the different activities that are available there? Or did you become a member for one specific activity? Like, I want to play tennis. You joined to be a tennis player, or is this kind of an exploratory time in your life where you're trying all of the different activities? Yeah, I really wanted to use the pool and the climbing gym, and my husband really wanted to start taking tennis lessons. So we signed up for those three specifically, but once we started, we've been trying out all the different sports, and I played badminton for the first time in, I'm not gonna say ever, but practically for the first time in a decade. And it was really fun. Nice. So, when you play badminton, are you just freestyling it, or are you just playing for fun, or are you trying to be really serious about learning all of the rules of the game and playing an official style game? No, we pretty much play for fun, but we got all the gear. We got, the birdies, the shuttlecocks. We got the rackets. We have our own bag that we bring. What about a sweatband? Do you have a matching sweatband or anything? We don't, but that is on the list, Andrew. Kassy, kind of interesting expression just popped up in our conversation a moment ago when I asked you if you play for fun. What does it mean if play a game for fun? Like, you're just playing badminton for fun. What does that mean? It means you're playing strictly for your enjoyment, not competitively or to win some sort of a prize. And usually when you play for fun, we don't keep track of the score either, right? It's not like I'm the winner, you're the loser. There's no competitive elements like that. You're just, what do you say? Hitting the birdie, swatting the birdie. What is the verb that we use for badminton? Yeah, I guess like hitting the birdie back and forth. Yeah, hitting the birdie back and forth. That sounds good to me. And you're not keeping score or determining who is the winner and who is the loser. Badminton is really fun. I'm glad that you're enjoying that game. What else have you tried? The rock climbing. I didn't mention before. I've done it a couple of times in the past. But now we go, several times a week. And it's really hard, but super satisfying. I'm starting to get calluses on my fingers, which are, like if you do a lot of hard work, manual labor, your hands start to get kind of rough because you're dealing with materials and you gain. How would you describe calluses, Andrew? I'm having a hard time doing it. No, I think you're doing a great job. That's pretty much it. It's like when you do something physical, the skin on your hand starts to harden, and I personally get calluses on my hand from playing guitar. So because my fingers are touching the guitar strings, they start to become hard. And yeah, I could imagine that when you're rock climbing as well, you're grabbing onto it's an indoor rock climbing center, so you're not grabbing onto physical rocks, but you're grabbing onto those grips that look like rocks on the rock wall. And because you do that, then the skin on your hand gets harder and it gives you some protection, right? So that you don't injure yourself or cut yourself when you're doing rock climbing. It's kind of our body's own defense mechanism against these things that could potentially cut our skin. Yeah, it also gives you strength and grip. So when I first started rock climbing, I was really bad. I'm still not very good. I was really bad. I'm still not very good. I'm still not very good. I'm still not very good. I was really bad. I'm still not very good, but I can feel the finger strength growing and my ability to look at a rock wall and say, okay, I have to move my body this way, and then I have to turn it that way so that I can reach that stone over there. It's really like a puzzle for your brain and your body. Yeah, that's awesome. I think many sports are like that, but rock climbing seems to be particularly like that. Where there's a mental challenge and a physical challenge. And then on top of that, you have this height challenge, right? Because maybe it's not exactly the same if you're in an indoor gym. I guess it depends on how comfortable you are with heights. But definitely, if you're outside climbing, a mountain, climbing a rock cliff face on a mountain, that you have that fear of potentially injuring yourself or dying, even like it's a really dangerous sport. It can be if you don't take the proper safety precautions. So you have all these elements going at once, which I think makes it so addictive for people who start the activity. Yeah, that's right. And also the community is really welcoming and nice. I feel like every time I go to the gym, there's people there who are like, "Hey," or I go, "Wow, how did you do that move? Can you show me one more time?" And they say, "Sure, why not?" So when you do rock climbing indoors, what kind of equipment do you need? Personally, I've done indoor rock climbing when I was like 12 years old. So it's been over 20 years. It's been over 20 years for sure since I've been rock climbing. So I can't really remember, but do you need any specialized equipment, or do you need any specialized equipment? I'm sure it's not just like badminton, where you can just kind of have fun and go at it. You probably need some training or some gear before you can do it. We need to buy a lot of stuff. We had to buy climbing shoes that are really tight, and they have a special rubber grip around the entire edge so that you can really dig your toes into the rock face. And then we had to buy harnesses to strap the rope to wall in case you fall. And we had to buy a belay device, which is a thing that you thread the rope through the sticks onto your harnesses. And we had to buy chalk. Chalk helps your finger grip on the wall. I think that's it. Maybe a bag to carry it all in. Carry it all in. Do you wear a helmet when you climb? No, I think if you outdoor rock climb, you need one. But indoors, it's not necessary. And you mentioned belaying and the rope. I remember this word from when I climbed as a child, but I don't really remember the meaning. I know it has something to do with the person who is holding the rope for you. Is that correct? Well, that's two types of climbing. There's bouldering and there's rope climbing. So bouldering You don't need anybody near you. The rocks are not that far. The rocks are not that far off the ground, so it's more working on your skills, your techniques of climbing. But rope climbing, you're attached to a rope and you're climbing a wall vertically, so you're pretty high in the air. And to protect yourself, you have someone on the ground who is your belayer. The belayer is also connected to the rope, and their job is to make sure that if you fall off the wall or if you're done climbing, you've reached the top, then they are going to slowly release the rope and let you back down to the ground. So you need an activity partner to do this, it sounds like. A lot of gyms do have auto blades where, like it sounds, it's automatic. You don't need a partner, but that's only usually a small fraction of the ropes in the gym. Nice. Well, that sounds amazing. I'm glad that you've got into these new activities. I'm glad that you've got into these new activities. How is your climbing skill so far? Like, have you made it to the top of any of the courses? Yeah, definitely. I know there's different standards like levels depending on what country or region you're in. I think in the US they call it like 5-point. I don't even remember. I'm not a huge climber yet. 5.8 to 5.12 maybe, or 6 point anyway. But in Thailand they have the levels 5A all the way to 6C or something like that. So I can climb the 5C, 6A range, which is, it's not too bad. It's solid, novice, high level. Okay, all of those numbers just went over my head, but I like the summary at the end. Solid, novice, high level. Sounds like you're making a good start with your new job, a new hobby. Kassy, I have to ask, have you ever seen the Olympic speed climbing events on TV or on YouTube or something, or anything? I really haven't watched them much, but I would love to. Now that I'm getting more into the sport, I think it would be really cool to watch some professional in action. Your socks are going to be blown off, Kassy. It is insane. So it's a race. You have two climbers climbing at the same time, and it's a sprint. They are like almost running up the wall to hit the bell at the top of the wall first. So whoever hits the bell first, rings the bell first, is the winner. And they don't even look like people. They look like climbing monkeys or something. The way that they can climb so quickly is just absolutely incredible. So definitely, I definitely think once you see that, maybe you will feel inspired or motivated to climb even more. Sounds good. Will do. And another recommendation that I have about climbing is there's this documentary movie called Free Solo. And I have another recommendation about climbing. Another recommendation that I have about climbing is another recommendation that I have about climbing is, another recommendation that I have about climbing is there's this documentary movie called Free Solo. Have you heard of this movie, Free Solo? I haven't watched it, but I've heard of it. Yeah, so there's a climber, an American climber. His name is Alex something. I can't remember his last name. Alex Honey. I want to say, but I may have that incorrect. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing his name, but this climber is notorious for climbing the world's most dangerous mountains outside. So he's on cliffs, and his special characteristic is that he doesn't use a rope. Crazy. So he does all of this with no rope, and watching the movie I felt like I was on the verge of having a heart attack the whole time. So nervous and just panicked for him that he was going to lose his grip and fall off the mountain and die. But yeah, spoiler alert, he's okay. That's good. Well, Kassy, thanks for catching us up on these new hobbies. I'm glad that you're keeping yourself busy in your new Thai life. Yes, it's been a really great adventure so far. That's it for now, but we will be back soon with another brand new episode, and we will talk to you all then.